Why get all your holiday decorations delivered through Instacart? Because maybe you only bought 2 wreaths, but you have 12 windows. Or maybe your toddler got very eager with the advent calendar. Or maybe the inflatable snowman didn't make it through the snowstorm. Or maybe the twinkle lights aren't twinkling. Whatever the reason, this season, Instacart's here for hosts and their whole holiday haul. Get decorations from the Home Depot, CVS, and more through Instacart and enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boy, does it smell good.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
That's good.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. It means we're brought to you by Rouse's Market, working towards the weekend. Glad you're hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the 1s and 2s. And lots to do here on this Thursday. Of course, LSU and Florida getting things going in the swamp on Saturday afternoon. I want to talk to you about LSU's emotional response to last week based on the player interviews that we did on Tuesday evening. We'll do that in 15 minutes. Derek Young covers Kansas State. He's going to jump aboard in 30 minutes. LSU at Kansas State tonight, 8 o'clock tip-off from the Octagon of Doom up in Manhattan. Should be an interesting one up there in the Little Apple. So we'll talk to Derek Young about this Kansas State basketball team, which is essentially brand new from last year. They've got 11 newcomers on this squad, so we'll talk to Derek about that. In the second hour, I'll give my thoughts on Kansas State basketball. Chris Blair is going to join us from Manhattan, but we're going to talk about football when he does that. And then Luke Johnson at 2:30. Used to have Luke at 1:15. Coach Rizzi has moved things around schedule-wise in terms of practices, media availabilities, and whatnot, so it works better for Luke to go in the second hour with us on Thursday. So we'll bump him back to 2:30 and talk Saints and Browns. I'm curious to hear how Luke feels about the matchup between Taliesin Fuanga and Myles Garrett. It'll be certainly Taliesin's biggest challenge since becoming the Saints left tackle this his rookie season. So tons and tons to do here on this Thursday, brought to you by Rouse's Markets. We start the same way we start each and every day, and that's with our Genesis opening drive. Got an opening drive for us?
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Let's get things rolling in a way that I honestly did not anticipate getting them rolling today. I was prepared to talk LSU and Florida, which we will. I was prepared to talk LSU and Kansas State, which we will. I was prepared to talk about Saints and Browns, which we will. But we got to talk about what's going on Twitter right now. And On3 continues to post these stories. And you care about these stories. It's very evident based on views on Twitter and impressions on Twitter and then the views that we get and the clicks that we get and the questions that we get from you all day to day. It's all really anybody has talked about over the last couple of days. And it's Bryce Underwood, and it's Michigan. And I got friends texting me, and you're probably texting your friends and sending screenshots. So we got to react to it. This is On3, which reported earlier today that Michigan is prepared to offer Bryce Underwood $10.5 million over 4 years to flip his commitment from LSU to Michigan. I did basically this exact segment 2 weeks ago, and my stance has not changed from 2 weeks ago. The number has changed from Michigan. My stance has not. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into why we know what we know and why Michigan is doing what they're doing. Because Bryce Underwood has been committed to LSU for over a year. Over that time, he has made almost 10 trips to Baton Rouge on his own dime. You know how many times he's been to other campuses in a recruiting capacity? None. It's not that tough to get to Ann Arbor from where he is in Bellevue. Right up the road, 30 miles. Has he done that to visit with Coach Sharon Moore? No. Has he been to Michigan's campus plenty of times? Sure, absolutely. Been there to watch teammates play, been there for camps and workouts, been there for visits early in his high school career. It's the hometown team. But has he taken Michigan seriously in a year? There's nothing to suggest that he has. You listen to the guys that cover recruiting, Shea Dixon, Billy Embody, Sonny Shipp, Mike Scarborough, like whoever it is that you look at. No one has suggested that Bryce Underwood has taking a lot of phone calls from the Michigan staff or scheduled a trip up to Ann Arbor to go over things. He's all in on Baton Rouge. What has Bryce Underwood said? Well, I want to go to LSU. Well, NIL is part of the deal, and we understand that, but it's not going to be about the money. It's about relationships. It's about development. Well, his relationship with Joe Sloan is fantastic. His relationship with Brian Kelly is fantastic. And LSU just developed a quarterback that's setting the NFL on fire right now. And Michigan can't complete a pass. They're terrible. They're 500. Nothing that was established over the Jim Harbaugh period appears to be still intact. The players are gone. The coach is gone. The offense is gone. The winning is gone. But they got $10.5 million. So toss it afloat. I just don't see any relevance in this story. I understand that On3 has paid Nakos and some of these guys and formed a Twitter handle just to deal with NIL, and that is their job. Their job is to deal with recruiting. Recruiting is largely impacted by NIL. This is the number one player in the country. It would be negligent of them in terms of what their business model is to not report this as news. However, I don't even care. It just doesn't matter. I think if they said, Bryce Underwood, we got $120 million, he would go to Michigan. And I also don't think that Michigan is offering 10.5 and LSU is offering $25,000 a year. I think that Bryce Underwood will be taken care of quite nicely in Baton Rouge to play for and with the people that have developed Jaden Daniels and have Garrett Nussmeier through 6 weeks really playing great football. So I just don't care about this story. And it just doesn't make any sense why this is breaking unless Michigan is just trying to save face. Because I don't have NIL amounts on any other recruits in this cycle. I have no idea what Harlan Berry's getting. I have no idea what DeCorian Moore got from Oregon. I have no idea what DJ Pickett's getting from LSU. I could go, I don't know. None of this information is around. And we're getting specified numbers from Michigan. And that's not coming from Bryce Underwood. That's coming from the Michigan collective to the folks that cover Michigan recruiting. Well, why are they telling them that? The only thing that I can think of is that Michigan staff, amidst a horrible season, is attempting to save face with its fan base. Hey, we tried, when in actuality, you probably didn't try hard enough. Because that had to be done a year ago, 2 years ago. This has to be a save face move. And we'll see how this plays out, because the very, very, very likely scenario is that Michigan is publicly declaring how much money they're offering a player who won't drive 30 minutes to go visit them or sign with them and will fly across the country to go play for LSU. And then you've got to deal with a bunch of signees in your class. Like, man, y'all had all that money? $10 million? When do we get some? And then you've got players on Michigan's team that are going, well, you had $10 million earmarked for Bryce Underwood. Where's mine? Well, if you don't pony up, because I know you have it now, I'm leaving. Ohio State's paying a lot of guys. This just doesn't appear to be sound strategy from Michigan's part, to me. Keep in mind, like, this is the only part now that I'm fixated on. I'm fixated on why is Michigan doing this, not, oh my God, Bryce Underwood's going to go to Michigan. He's not. And trust me, if he does, all this is on recorded. Beck can play it back. You can go to YouTube and click it. Go viral. Moron Homer Baton Rouge radio guy brushes off $10.5 million for 18-year-old. Looks like a moron. You can write the headline. I'm very willing to stand out on that limb. Because nothing Bryce Underwood has done or said would suggest that he's even close to taking this offer. He goes right to his Instagram handle when this is posted and puts up an LSU jersey. He was in Baton Rouge last week with a gold chain on, being applauded by the LSU fan base. He knows what coaches he wants to play for. He knows what school he wants to go to. It's why he doesn't look at the other options. And Michigan just continues to fire away on social media, which is completely unnecessary unless you're trying to save face. It's not going to help you save face, and it may cause you more problems in the locker room when that time comes. To me, and I continue to say this, I said it 2 weeks ago, I say it today, this is a nothing story. Nothing. I don't besmirch On3 for running with this. It's literally their job. But as a consumer,
why get all your holiday decorations delivered through Instacart? Because maybe you only bought 2 wreaths, but you have 12 windows. Or maybe your toddler got very eager with the advent calendar. Or maybe the inflatable snowman didn't make it through the snowstorm. Or maybe the twinkle lights aren't twinkling. Whatever the reason, this season Instacart's here for hosts and their whole holiday haul. Get decorations from the Home Depot, CVS, and more through Instacart and enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
The holidays are all about sharing with family. Meals, couches, stories, Grandma's secret pecan pie recipe. And now, you can also share a cart with Instacart's Family Carts. Everyone can add what they want to one group cart from wherever they are. So you don't have to go from room to room to find out who wants cranberry sauce, or who should get mini marshmallows for the yams, or collecting votes for sugar cookies versus shortbread. Just share a cart and then share the meals and the moments. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
I would just tune this out. And I've got friends of mine that are so plugged in, not on what recruits are doing, but they pay attention all the time. And they're all petrified. And I'm just sitting here going, not me. I don't see this at all. You know when flips are coming. When guys visit other places. You start to read the tea leaves. Like, I think there's a good chance that there are 2 guys in this LSU class that could flip to South Carolina and Ole Miss because they've been visiting those places. Because they're still corresponding with those coaches. Because LSU's starting to get a vibe that might not be great, and that's pretty obvious at this point. Underwood's just not in that camp. So I guess good job by the Michigan Boosters for putting a bunch of money together and blasting social media away, but you may be causing more problems than you know by doing it. And me, if I take my Hunt Palmer show hat off and just put on my I hope LSU wins football game hat on, I'm not even reading this, not even clicking on it. It's just a non-factor. I'd rather hear more about LSU-K-State playing basketball than $10.5 million going to Bryce Underwood, theoretically. I'd rather know about the fact that LSU baseball is on the number 1 class in the country, or what Florida's injury situation is at quarterback coming up this week. This is a nothing burger to me. And I'll be very disappointed, but I will willingly come here and tell you I was an idiot if Bryce Underwood bails on a year-plus commitment and all the things he had said and goes to Michigan for the bag of cash. I'll sit right here and do it. Chair's not going to move. Mike will still be right here. As long as Beck hits the buttons, we're good. So it's a nothing burger to me. That's our Genesis opening drive, brought to you by Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every car on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. We spoke with some players back on Tuesday night as LSU gets ready for Florida. And look, I live in the world of you, the fan, as well, and I hear you. And so I'm always curious to get the impressions of the players and how they feel as the season progresses. And I've got sound from 3 different guys talking about how the team is approached this week. We'll do that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Speaking of that quarterback that LSU developed that's setting the world on fire, he's going to play tonight. That's Jaden Daniels with the Washington Commanders. They are in Philadelphia this evening for Thursday night football, and I'll be at ESPN Bet inside LeBears for Thursday night football. Invite you to come on out. It's going to be a heck of a night. I'm going to be watching some LSU and Kansas State, maybe on the laptop. If I can get them to stream it on the big screen, I'll try. But we're going to get a lot of Thursday night football on the big screen. I'll be watching both. You can come join me, Bet and Dine at ESPN Bet in LeBears. And I'll also ask that you download that Cover 5 app today. Get into the SEC contest. Enter the promo code LABRSEC24. You might go, it's late into the SEC season. It's okay. There are weekly winners every single week. So enter that promo code LABRSEC24 and play the Cover 5 contest against me and dozens of our listeners. If you're not a member, get the Pin Play app today. LeBears Baton Rouge, your live sports headquarters. Got to be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966 for help.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Let's chat with Derek Young, covers the Kansas State Wildcats, coming up in 15 minutes. LSU and K-State tonight from Manhattan, but LSU Florida on Saturday in the Swamp. And I'm curious about the energy for both teams. I'm curious about the motivation for both teams. I talked about that a little bit yesterday. I wrote about it on LouisianaSports.net as well. And I think it's a storyline because LSU has had some, SEC championship aspirations over the last 3 weeks, and they've obviously gone south. That door still exists, but it's a long way away, and that's tough sometimes for players at power programs to digest. If you lose 4 games at Purdue, I feel like you can't be stunned. You lose 4 games at Cal, you feel like, okay, well, we'll just get ready to go play Stanford. If you lose 4 games at LSU, you lose 4 games at Florida, you lose 4 games at Texas, like that's not something you were planning to do. And when some of those goals look like they may be coming off the table, I always worry about how players are going to respond. And far, far, far more often than not, players respond really well. We've seen LSU have some really underwhelming seasons since 2019, and I felt like LSU played hard throughout those. I mean, you could see that the team in 2020 that had things go south, and they end up beating Florida in the Swamp. They come back and beat Ole Miss in the Keyshawn Booty game where he goes nuts. Like those teams were toast, and they played really hard. I feel like that's likely going to be what you get, but I'm also curious because I spend my time with LSU fans. My friends are LSU fans. My family members are LSU fans. My coworkers are LSU fans. People that listen to the show and tweet at me and then get in by for chat, or people that I see at LeBear's tonight or Rouse's are LSU fans. And right now, morale is terrible in the LSU fan base. It's awful. All the message boards, all the Twitter is fire the coach, program shot, strength coach is terrible, quarterback's toast, get Underwood. Like, it's just morale stinks in the LSU fan base right now. That's just the way that it is. So I'm curious, for my first time this year since 2014, really, I get to talk to the players, which hasn't been the case. And so here's some sound from our discussions with some of the players, and we'll start with Emery Jones. And he was asked, are you aware that y'all can still make the SEC championship game? And keep in mind, like sometimes these players are not aware of stuff like that. Josh Williams, like a month ago, I don't even remember what game it was. It was Tuesday. He didn't know what time kickoff was on Saturday. Like they are not in your world. They're just not. They don't know. They don't focus on it as much as you do, more often than not. Some are very aware. Some are not as much. And Josh Williams has been in college for 6 years. Didn't know what time kickoff was on Saturday. So they're focused on kind of what they're focused on. But Emery Jones asked, hey, are you aware of the path to the SEC championship game?
We're definitely aware of it, and we know the situation, but we are focused on the next game. We feel like, we got to be focused. We can't be worried about 3 games down the line. We got to go do what we got to do in this game, and then the next game, and then the next game to, just keep our level of focus, intact. And, so we're not too much worried about the SEC championship right now. We're about Florida, and we're trying to make sure we win that game.
Making sure they win the game against Florida, but they're aware that is a possibility. And Emery Jones talked about why he feels like this is a good group of guys to respond to adversity.
I mean, we got a great group of guys in the building who, want to get better. And that's all you can ask for, especially when you got younger guys, guys who want to continue to grow their game, no matter the circumstances. So we're just coming in with the mindset of getting better, getting 1% better every day still, and, nobody's giving up. There's no give up in this team. So I'm really proud of the guys and how they're attacking it.
So that's a 3-year starter on the offense talking. And you would expect a mature approach from him. He's been through a lot in his 3 years. He started in his second game as an LSU Tiger. He's played an SEC championship game. He's seen a lot at LSU, and you would imagine he would give you a pretty mature approach. Now, Ashton Stamps is not significantly younger than Emery Jones, but he is a sophomore. He's a first-year full-time starter, though he played a lot last year. And it's a different side of the ball. So there are different issues. Those guys on the offense are worried about trying to run the ball. They're worried about stop turning the ball over. They had their lowest output of the season on Saturday as far as points and yards goes. That's your own deal. The defense, well, we know they had just a massive issue. They couldn't stop Jalen Milroe from running, and they've been bad for the last 6 quarters. And Ashton Stamps, I actually asked him, hey, what's the energy like, and what was it like after y'all got off the field against Alabama?
When we first got in here, after the game, it probably was a little down, but, we got the 24-hour rule, so that really, it plays a part in our program. So, like today, we was all happy, we out there having practice, having fun. So, we not really just sitting on that loss because it's not going to do nothing for us, for Florida. So we just got to be able to have a positive attitude, to be able to get a win for Florida.
I'm not suggesting that the players are going to come off the practice field and come into the interview room and look at us, and I ask, hey, how's the energy been? Terrible. I hate our chances on Saturday. Like, nobody's caring. Nobody's trying. I talked to 3 guys that are going to enter the transfer portal, and we're all looking for more NIL money. Like, we're probably going to get whipped. I don't think they're going to say that. More often than not, they're going to give me a stock answer. But I also don't think they're completely blowing smoke. I think that young kids, especially the ones that play college football, are really resilient and are just excited to go play again. And they're not like the 36-year-old office supplies salesman. They're not like the 41-year-old attorney. They're not like the 56-year-old plumber that live, eat, and breathe the results of every single game, and a loss ruins their week. And first of all, it's good that LSU has people that care that much. If the LSU fan base did not care that much, you wouldn't have the tailgating. You wouldn't have the 103,000 people. You wouldn't have the NIL collective. You would not have the passion that surrounds this program that has helped make it so good. But I have talked to enough players back in 2010, 11, 12, 13 when I was covering the team day to day, talking to these players weekly after USC, after A&M, after Alabama. They're pretty resilient. And sometimes you lose. And it sucks. But I think sometimes they're not quite as affected as those of us who are a little bit older. And Ashton Stamps admitted, like, it was down on Sunday when we came in, but it's not going to do us any good. So we were happy at practice today. We were having some fun. And I believe it. They're out there practicing football with their friends.
You know, it's crazy. I cover high school football every now and then. And I've shot plenty of games where the team is 1-7, 1-8. And they're going up against a team that's, really good. And every single time that team runs through the paper where the cheerleaders are holding it, they're going crazy. They're excited. Even though in the back of their mind, they may know we're probably going to lose by 30 points. But even at the start of that game, they're still ready to go. And the next week, they're still ready to go that week too. So, I agree with you.
It's fun to play. And I may be.
Why get all your holiday decorations delivered through Instacart? Because maybe you only bought 2 wreaths, but you have 12 windows. Or maybe your toddler got very eager with the advent calendar. Or maybe the inflatable snowman didn't make it through the snowstorm. Or maybe the twinkle lights aren't twinkling. Whatever the reason, this season, Instacart's here for hosts and their whole holiday haul. Get decorations from the Home Depot, CVS, and more through Instacart and enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
The holidays are all about sharing with family. Meals, couches, stories, Grandma's secret pecan pie recipe. And now, you can also share a cart with Instacart's family carts. Everyone can add what they want to one group cart from wherever they are. So you don't have to go from room to find out who wants cranberry sauce, or who should get mini marshmallows for the yams, or collecting votes for sugar cookies versus shortbread. Just share a cart and then share the meals and the moments. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
Barking into the abyss here, and everyone realizes that. But I think that I'm just basing off my experience dealing with the people that I deal with the Sunday after you lose to Bama by 30 points that week. And I'm looking sometimes in the Bayou Ford chat, and you look at message boards, and there's so much negativity, and you talk to the players, and it just doesn't really carry over. Now, this last bite I think is the most impactful one. And it's the line that's going to close my story on LouisianaSports.net a little bit later today. But I do think that there is an element of importance here. And I don't think it's Emery Jones blowing smoke. I think he's being truthful when he talks about one of the reasons they've got to put the helmet on and go play. And this is Emery Jones about the motivation to go beat Florida.
Like I said, man, you can never give up. This is a business where you got to keep fighting, no matter the circumstances, like I said before. So, we owe it to the state of Louisiana to continue to get better and, continue to go out there and fight on Saturdays.
That one resonated with me there. Not everybody on this team's from Louisiana, but there is a pride that comes with being a Louisiana kid and putting that uniform on and going out to play. And I think in this era of NIL and transfer portal, that's still going to hold some weight. Does it hold all the weight? No. There are still going to be players from inside the state that go elsewhere. There are still going to be players from out of state that come to LSU. There are still going to be players that come to LSU from in-state and decide to transfer out after they've been here. Like, you're never going to have 100% consensus on this. But I think there is an element of fighting for the state that does matter to a lot of these kids. And I think if you ask Emery Jones, if you ask Will Campbell, I think those two guys would suggest it's important to do that. I'm kind of running through the roster of guys that it may resonate with. I don't know them personally well enough. I've talked to Will Campbell and Emery Jones enough time in these player interviews to have a pretty good feeling for it. I know that Garrett Nussmeier calls himself a native Louisianian and that LSU is important to him because of his mom's family. Obviously, he's been all over the world, the NFL and college football world, which is the United States. But I think there are some guys on this team that feel that way. And so I think you're going to get a spirited effort from LSU. Do I know that they can run the ball in Florida? I don't. Do I know that Garrett Nussmeier is going to take care of the ball for 4 quarters? I don't. Do I know that LSU is going to stop the run? I don't. Do I know that LSU is going to win the game in Gainesville? I don't. Do I have a very strong feeling you're going to get a hell of an effort from LSU in terms of their energy, enthusiasm, especially early in the game? I feel pretty good about that. And that's the biggest thing I took away from interviews. Because keep in mind, they're not going to tell us about game plan. They're not going to tell us about injuries. It's mainly just us to try to get an angle here or there for a story and get a little bit of a vibe check. And I felt like on Tuesday when I walked out of football ops that you felt like, hey, these guys take it better than the fans that listen to the show. That's the way it felt to me. And I'm not telling you I took it great on Saturday. You can hear me in the postgame show. You can hear Brandon Taylor in the postgame show. It can get a little spirited, but I think the players are going to play really hard on Saturday. So LSU in Florida, 2:30 Central Time from the Swamp. I think they'll be ready to go. We'll see if LSU's basketball team is ready to go. Their first Power 5 test of the season comes tonight. 8 o'clock tip in the Octagon of Doom up there in Manhattan. Derek Young covers Kansas State, and we'll chat with him coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Invite you to check out the lot. It's fairly new, brand new by lot standards. They've only been there a little over a year and change. It's an airline in Pico, and you're going to be blown away at the line of vehicles that they've got at Genesis of Baton Rouge. When you think Genesis of Baton Rouge, you should think luxury. They're sleek, they're stylish, they're exceptionally safe. The entire line of Genesis vehicles was given the IIHA top safety pick, and some of them were given the top safety picks plus. Every single model on the line comes with the same safety features. They do not take away from any of those when you go from the entry level all the way up to the highest end model. Every single Genesis of Baton Rouge purchase comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 10 years, 100,000-mile warranty. Most of you don't even drive a car for 10 years. Valet maintenance, complimentary maintenance, all part of being a Genesis driver. Check them out on Airline at Pico. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. They're online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve.
Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show presented by Rouse's Markets. Getting a game watching party together this weekend for LSU in Florida or the Saints and the Browns. Rouse is always a fantastic spot. You got all your wine, beer, spirits, and all of your groceries as well. Thanksgiving's around the corner. They've got some fantastic specials over there at Rouse's. One, get a spiral ham, $2.99 a pound, free butterball turkey. But you got to do it while supplies last. So get on by any of your Rouse's locations, get that spiral ham. Comes with that butterball turkey, and you'll be set up for Thanksgiving. Don't wait until right before Thanksgiving. We got a couple of weeks here. Get it done now. You'll be glad that you did over there at Rouse's. There's a Rouse's location pretty much near everybody down here in South Louisiana, all the way over to Gulf Shores, Alabama. Bring our Thursday shows each and every week. Always invite you to download the Rouse's app as well. Makes grocery shopping so much easier. You can do all your grocery shopping there on the app, and then they can have it ready for you to drive on in. They'll drop it in the back seat. You head on your way. Could not be any easier over at Rouse's. Rouse's, this feels like home. Got a lot to do on this Thursday. Best win, worst loss in the NFL and college football is coming up. here at the end of this hour. Still got to give my thoughts on Kansas State. We'll hear some sound from Matt McMahon as well. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, is up in Manhattan, Kansas. He'll be on the call tonight with John Brady, courtside in the Octagon of Doom. And so we'll talk to him briefly about LSU-K-State, but certainly want his thoughts on LSU and Florida from the Swamp. I was not there one time ago in the Swamp, but I was there 2 times ago in the Swamp for the fall game with the shoe throwing and stuff. That is a game fairly inconsequential in the history of LSU football, but definitely a game that I will remember forever. I was spotting for Chris in the press box and pointing out who was making catches, who was making tackles and whatnot for the broadcast, and it got to be like late third quarter, and I looked at Chris and I was like, hey, I have no idea what's going on down there. Like, I can't see. And it was a surreal experience because that was like my only job was to see. And I couldn't. And then they set up for the game-winning field goal at the end, and Cade York's dialing it up from 58 or whatever it was. And I looked at Chris, and I was like, I can't tell. And so we're watching, and I got my binoculars out, and I'm watching Cade York kick this thing, and I'm like, I'm going to have to go based on his reaction because I can't see in the end zone. And York kicked it, and he started running. And I was like, that's got to be a good sign. And Chris, yells out, it's good, it's good. And that was an LSU team that wasn't very good, and it was an empty stadium. I looked up the attendance for Plucker's Trivia earlier this week, and the attendance was about 16,000 for that game. That was a really good Florida team. They were humming towards the SEC championship game, and they actually played Alabama, the eventual national champions, really close in that game with Kyle Trask at quarterback. But it's just such a surreal time to be there. I had been inside Tiger Stadium for the COVID games, but had never been obviously on the road for a COVID game, and it was an odd deal. And LSU won it. It was a crazy night inside the Swamp. Beck, let's go while we're looking for Derek. Let's go to some of this Matt McMahon sound getting ready for Kansas State. Just his initial thought on K-State at the top of his press conference that was a little earlier this week.
They're playing really unselfishly on the offensive end of the floor, 20 assists a game. They're shooting it exceptionally well from 3, where we've been really strong defending the 3 through 2 games. That will certainly be put to the test there. On the defensive side of the ball, great schemes, very unique coverages. It's disruptive. They're forcing 16 turnovers a game there. The rim protection has been fantastic. So really talented team and a great opportunity. It'll be a phenomenal environment, sold out crowd. So looking forward to the trip to Manhattan.
He rattled off a bunch of statistics there. Some of them I think are relevant. Some of them don't. I always kind of hesitate on 3-point defense as a statistic because there's just a lot of chance in that. Do I think LSU played awesome 3-point defense on Sunday? I don't know. Alabama State couldn't throw it in the ocean. They went 1 of 20-something. So it looks good on paper, and if I went back and watched every single possession, I could probably tell you if I thought LSU really defended the 3 or whether or not a team missed a lot of low percentage shots. But you're going to have to defend the 3 against Kansas State because they've got a couple of guys that can really, really shoot it. One of them is Brandon Howson, who is a Villanova transfer, who is 10 of 18 from 3 on the season. And I watched the highlights of their most recent game, and he was hitting them. He was hitting it off the catch from way deep. He hit a step back. He hit one in transition. He hit one off the dribble. He was pulling up from everywhere and knocking them down. And that's a guy that LSU is going to have to deal with in this game. And there's more personnel that I want to get to. But let's talk about Matt McMahon number 3 here back, about the rim protection that LSU has gotten, as well as Kansas State's 3-point shooting.
I've been pleased with their interior rim protection so far. I think we've let the ball get to the rim too much. Some one-on-one defensive breakdowns. Certainly there's some schematic things there where we're trying to do a good job defending the 3. It's 2 games, but the opponents are 4 for 34 from behind the arc, with one of them being a half-court buzzer beater. As I mentioned, that's going to be tested. You're looking at Kansas State 43% behind the arc. Howson's made 5 threes per game so far. NBA range, elite shooter. Max Jones 5 of 7 from 3. So they've really shot it exceptionally well, and their ball movement's been terrific. But there's no doubt we have to be much improved guarding the ball one-on-one off the bounce.
I liked LSU's rim protection back on last Thursday. Was that Wednesday?
Why get all your holiday decorations delivered through Instacart? Because maybe you only bought 2 wreaths, but you have 12 windows. Or maybe your toddler got very eager with the advent calendar. Or maybe the inflatable snowman didn't make it through the snowstorm. Or maybe the twinkle lights aren't twinkling. Whatever the reason, this season Instacart's here for hosts and their whole holiday haul. Get decorations from the Home Depot, CVS, and more through Instacart and enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
The holidays are all about sharing with family. Meals, couches, stories, Grandma's secret pecan pie recipe. And now, you can also share a cart with Instacart's family carts. Everyone can add what they want to one group cart from wherever they are. So you don't have to go from room to find out who wants cranberry sauce, or who should get mini marshmallows for the yams, or collecting votes for sugar cookies versus shortbread. Just share a cart and then share the meals and the moments. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
Can't remember. Doesn't matter. In the season opener, I liked LSU's rim protection in that game, and I thought there was a little bit more of it in the game on Sunday. They've got some length and some athleticism that they didn't necessarily have. Will Baker had some strengths last year, but one of them is not rim protection. Like he had some games where he shot the 3 pretty well, had some games where he really finished around the rim pretty well at 7 feet tall. But his game is nothing like Damian Collins. It's nothing like Robert Miller. And you're getting a little bit better defense from Jalen Reed as well. So I'm curious to see how that plays out in this game tonight, how LSU's able to protect the rim. And I'm also interested in how they can cover the 3-point line. There's a personnel decision that Jerome Tang is going to have to make in this game that I'm very interested in, and it's at guard. The 2 starting guards for their first 2 games this year have been Max Jones, who we mentioned has shot it well from 3, and CJ Jones, 2 Jones boys who both happen to be 6'5". Max Jones is a Cal State Fullerton transfer. CJ Jones is an Illinois Chicago transfer. They're both really long at 6'5". And Jordan Sears is 5'10". So that is an interesting matchup, I think, on both sides. Who do they guard him with? Can they keep up with him? Who does he guard? Is he too small to deal with them? That's going to be part of the deal with Sears all season long. When you got a 5'11 point guard, 5'10 point guard, sometimes you're undersized at that position, but sometimes it can work to your advantage if you're a little pesky. You get underneath some guys, you get some tip balls, you get some steals, you use your quickness to get around them into the paint, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how that would work, but my gut tells me I probably won't learn very much because even though he hasn't started either of the 2 games, they've got a kid named Doug McDaniel, and it's not D-O-U-G, it's D-U-G, which I enjoyed. He's 5'11", and he's played a lot of minutes. He's actually played more minutes than Max Jones, even though he comes off the bench. And he's 5'11", Michigan transfer, and I think him and Sears will probably go at it a good bit. Jordan Sears is vital to LSU in this game because he is going to have to control the tempo and control the pace for LSU in its first road game. That's something that is just, it cannot be overstated, because if you start going too fast and start trying too hard and start pushing the pace too much, you can get whipped into a frenzy on the road. And this is going to be a sold-out crowd. It's going to be on Springs. They like Jerome Tang in Kansas State. It's a basketball state. They've had a decent football season, but not, an excellent football season. And they like their basketball there. They're going to be ready to go for LSU coming into town. And you can go too fast, you can try too hard, and you can give up a 15-0 run like that. If your point guard is not under control, he's not controlling the pace properly. When you got to push it, you got to push it. When you need to stay in the backcourt and slow the game down and make sure you get a good shot, you need to do that. And Jordan Sears is going to get his first opportunity as a LSU point guard to handle that. And I think that LSU is going to lean very, very heavily on their veterans tonight. I don't think you're going to see a ton of Victorious Miller. I don't think you're going to see as much Robert Miller. I don't think you're going to see a ton of Curtis Givens. I think this is a Jordan Sears game, a Jai Bailey game, a Cam Carter game, certainly his homecoming to Kansas State. I think Jalen Reed plays a lot. I think Derek Fountain plays a lot. I think Damian Collins plays a lot. I think they lean on the oldest guys they've got on the team in this game. LSU does not play another road game for a month. They go to Frisco to play SMU on December the 14th. Today is January the 14th. And then your next road game is in league play. I think it's at Missouri. So you only have 2 true road tests. This is the first one. This is a new team. I think that Matt McMahon will probably lean on his older guys in this game. And it's a great opportunity for LSU to face some adversity and see what they can do on the road. Back, this is 6 from Matt McMahon yesterday, talking about seeing how his guys respond.
I thought the execution was much better in the second half. I mean, you look, I think we were 59% from the floor, 57 from 3. And after going 7 of 14 at the free throw line, we went 18 of 20 in the second half. So I thought our screening was much better in the second half. We moved the ball better. We made the right decision more often. Still too many careless turnovers that'll get put to the test against a very active K-State defense on Thursday. But, you know, it's so early in the season. We got to continue to get better in all areas. But screening, both on the ball and the off the ball screens, will continue to be an emphasis for us.
You heard him talk about that defense. Kansas State, as long as Jerome Tang is there, is going to be a team that is built on energy, effort, and defense. Jerome Tang is as high energy a coach as there is in college basketball, and they will be on springs tonight ready to go at LSU, and it's a matter of how LSU handles it. We're going to go with 5 there, Beck.
Yeah, not ideal for game 2, but I think it was much needed. It was really the first time we've faced adversity with this group. Down 10 with 13 minutes to go, could have folded, but I thought stayed focused on doing the things we needed to do to get the win. I believe went 36-12 from that point to the close of the game. So you hope you learned a lot of lessons, both why you got down by 10 and then the things that we got accomplished on both ends of the floor to get a double-digit win, being in that situation, and especially going on the road for the first time. We know there's going to be some adversity there. So I think it does benefit us to have gone through a little bit on Sunday.
Let me be real clear. You play the first 30 minutes of this game like you did the first 30 minutes on Sunday, you will get run off the floor. I mean, run off the floor. I'm glad they handled adversity well in the second half on Sunday, and they did. They were down 10, and they played great the rest of the way. Carter and Sears were fantastic. But if you do that, what you did the first 30 minutes, which is not play great defense, really turn the ball over far too many times on offense, shoot it poorly early. If you do that in this game on the road, you will be down 26 points. I don't have any other way to say it. I don't think Kansas State's a dominant team this year by any stretch. I think they're a good team and it's going to be a really tough environment. They got a good coach. But LSU's going to have to play really well to stay in this game and to have a chance to win it. And I'm optimistic that they can. I think that this is an old LSU team. I think it's balanced defensively and offensively. And I think that they'll be okay in this game. I'm not picking them to win, but I don't think they're going to get down 26 points early in the second half. But it's just a matter of you're going to have to respond to some punches that Kansas State throws and rely on your veterans to score the ball late. And I think that LSU will be okay. Again, I think Kansas State will win this game tonight, but I think it'll be a great test to kind of see where LSU is. Keep in mind, LSU was bad in November and December last year, and they won 9 SEC games in a tough league. There is time for improvement over the course of a basketball season, a lot of it. This is not an indictment on the entire program if they lose by 12 tonight. But I think it could be a nice step forward if you do go on the road and find a way to win. So we'll see. 8 o'clock tip-off tonight. If you're asking where to watch it, it's streaming on ESPN+. Not going to be on your regular cable. So you'll have to go stream it like you do a lot of baseball games. But LSU and K-State tonight, 8 o'clock. When we come back, we'll close out hour number 1. It's a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. How about a custom closet? Closet of your dreams. Can change your living situation. I tell you this story about us all the time. In the house Alyssa and I lived in right when we got married, we had terrible closets. They were tiny little built-ins that just there wasn't enough room. Couldn't put coats in there, couldn't put suitcases in there. We had clothes in the empty guest room. We had clothes in Myers' nursery. We had clothes that were up in the attic. We just didn't have enough room. And so when we decided to move, we were going to prioritize closet space. And we did. And we've got a great closet space in this new house. And it's made all the difference, especially for her. You don't have to move to make that happen. We just knew we were going to because we needed more room. But you can get the closet of your dreams in the house you live in right now. David Duvall and his team can come in with cubbies, come in with shelves, come in with drawers, come in with mirrors, racks, all types of things that can help you use the space more efficiently. Just give you a little bit more room. Avoid all the clutter. Start with One Bath and Closets. That process starts with a free consultation. You can find it online at onebathandclosets.com. It's One Bath and Closets. Onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Closing out hour number 1 here on a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's. We do it every week. Best win and worst loss in college football and the National Football League. Starting to get to crunch time here in college football. I think the best win's pretty obvious to me. I would suggest that would be Tennessee going to Georgia and winning. For me, when I think about Tennessee football, really since 2007, they have been atrocious against Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. And for them to improve to 9-1 by beating Georgia in addition to Florida and Alabama, I think that's a monster season and a breakthrough for Josh Heupel. And he's done it with an incredible defense and a running game, not with the high-octane, high-flying offense we saw 2 years ago and that we saw at UCF. So for him to go on the road to get that win and essentially sew up a playoff berth would be pretty impressive for Josh Heupel and Tennessee. If you're an LSU fan, you're pulling for Georgia in that game. But I think that would be the best win in college football if Tennessee could go between the hedges and get that win. Worst loss in college football, team that's riding high right now, and I don't anticipate that they will lose this game, but Colorado losing to Utah would be bad. Utah is a scrappy team. They also are a 500 team. And Colorado is trying to, in my opinion, this is my opinion, trying to maximize the best tie-in talent they're going to have while Deion is there. Because I don't think they're going to have a lot of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunters at Colorado while Deion is there. The possibility certainly exists he could prove me dead wrong. But I think Shedeur is going to go in the first 5 picks in the draft at quarterback. That's going to be a hard thing to replicate. And I think Travis Hunter might win the Heisman Trophy, might be the first, second, third pick in the draft. You tell me Colorado's got 2 top 6 picks in the draft, that's pretty easy to believe, and I don't think they're going to replicate that year in, year out. One of them just happens to be related to Deion. So I think that for them to lose this game on Saturday, and likely knock themselves out of the Big 12 title race and knock themselves out of playoff contention would be an awful loss for them. So Colorado losing to Utah is my worst loss on the board in college football. Best win in the NFL? Actually, I've got it Chiefs, who are undefeated and can definitely stomach a loss. But if they can win at the Bills, they would be in a fantastic spot for home field advantage. You look at the standings right now in the AFC, and you've got the Chiefs, who are unbeaten at 9-0. They would go to 10-0. The Bills would then fall to 8-3. I don't think anybody's taking the Steelers too seriously at 7-2. Like, home field almost starts to look like a cinch because the Chiefs have already beaten the Ravens, who were 7-3. And they will have beaten the Bills and be 3 games ahead of them. So to me, best win on the board is the Chiefs going to Buffalo and beating the Bills. And then the worst loss, I looked around at this. There are a couple that stand out. And I don't think if this team loses, they're in huge trouble. But it's just the disparity of the talent level and the production from these two teams that led me to this conclusion. I think the Lions losing at home to Jacksonville will be the worst loss. Usually worst loss has got a bolder connotation where you're losing ground in the division or you're losing a tiebreaker. That's not the case here for the Lions, but you can't lose to Jacksonville at home. The Jags look terrible, and the Lions have just looked fantastic. Hester was making fun of me yesterday for my Lions takes when Campbell got hired. I said, this guy is talking about kneecaps is never going to win anything. The best team in the NFL, how dare you? And I was like, well, that press conference is still stupid. But they look great, and he's been awesome there in Detroit. So best win, in my opinion, in college football, Tennessee at Georgia. Worst loss would be Colorado hosting Utah and dropping that one to the Utes. Best win in the NFL, the Chiefs going to Buffalo and getting a win to really cement themselves atop the AFC at 10-0. And the worst loss in the NFL would be the Lions at home to Jacksonville. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. We talked Bryce Underwood. Talked LSU responding emotionally to the loss to Alabama. Talked to the LSU basketball against K-State, and then best win and worst loss. After Sports Center, talk some LSU Florida. Chris Blair will join us from Manhattan as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after Sports Center on the
Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. EvolvePT.com is the website. EvolvePT.com. If you're in pain, no matter your age, if you're in pain, you need to go visit Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, because their job, their goal, and what they will do is get rid of that pain and get you to your active self. Whether that means I'm 63 and I want to go play golf, whether that means I'm 16 and I got to get back on the high school baseball field, whether that means I'm 66 and I got to play pickleball, whether that means I'm 40 and I'm trying to work out 4 times a week again. No matter what you're trying to do, if you're active and you're in pain and you can't do it, Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports will help you. It's going to be hands-on from start to finish. They're not going to hand you a piece of paper with some stretches on it. They're going to be with you, soft tissue manipulation, cupping, dry needling, scraping, isokinetic testing, all that stuff they can do in their state-of-the-art facility. It's on Starring near Highland Road. Check them out online, EvolvePT.com. It's Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, EvolvePT.com.
Why get all your holiday decorations delivered through Instacart? Because maybe you only bought 2 wreaths, but you have 12 windows. Or maybe your toddler got very eager with the advent calendar. Or maybe the inflatable snowman didn't make it through the snowstorm. Or maybe the twinkle lights aren't twinkling. Whatever the reason, this season, Instacart's here for hosts and their whole holiday haul. Get decorations from the Home Depot, CVS, and more through Instacart and enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
The holidays are all about sharing with family. Meals, couches, stories, Grandma's secret pecan pie recipe. And now, you can also share a cart with Instacart's family carts. Everyone can add what they want to one group cart from wherever they are. So you don't have to go from room to room to find out who wants cranberry sauce, or who should get mini marshmallows for the yams, or collecting votes for sugar cookies versus shortbread. Just share a cart and then share the meals and the moments. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.